What's up, guys? I'm going to be showing you how to make these earrings. They are a variation of this plant that I made in a tutorial probably about a year ago now. I decided a couple weeks ago to try and make little tiny earrings. That's what I did, as you can see. This probably isn't really that difficult of a tutorial. The concepts aren't that hard. The only thing that would be hard is tiny thread makes crocheting a little bit harder. If you want, go ahead and maybe watch my tutorial for this and try and make it big sized first. And then if you think you can handle it, then you could try to make little ones. Or, you could just jump right in. I sort of break down the stitches a little bit, but for the most part, you should know how to do the stitches that I will insert in the next clip. You're going to need some brown for the dirt color. You'll need a green, and you need the color that you want your basket to be. And you will also need a very tiny amount of stuffing to give the pot some shape. But first things first, we're going to start with the plant holder here. I am using a 2.25 millimeter hook, and the thread I'm using is DMC, but it's the thread that does not split into 6 strands. It's just one singular strand. It's size 5. So the first thing we're going to do is make a magic ring, and to do that you're going to place the tail over your fingers, wrap it around your finger and make an X, and then you go under this first loop, grab the working yarn and pull it through, and that makes a little loop, and you can grab that working yarn and chain one, and that's a magic ring. Into the loop we're going to put 8 single crochets. So stick your hook into the circle, pull through your yarn, and then pull through 2, and that's your first single crochet. And then you're going to do 7 more into the circle. And you should have 8 single crochets. Then what you can do is you can grab the little tail and pull the magic circle closed. For the second round, you're going to want a stitch marker, or if you don't have a stitch marker, and I'm too lazy to go get a stitch marker, so I'm just going to use this scrap piece of string, and I'll show you how to do that. So for the next round, we're going to increase. We're going to stick our hook into the first single crochet that we made. Tight fit because it's so tiny. And we're going to make another single crochet. Now if we don't mark that as the first, it'll be really hard to tell where the start and end of this round is. So I'm just going to pull my yarn through a little bit here. And then I'm going to insert my hook into that stitch and pull through this piece of yarn. That way I know that this was the first stitch of the round. Then we're going to insert our hook into the same stitch and place another single crochet. So we should have 2 single crochets in the same stitch. And we're going to do that all the way around until we reach our stitch marker. So you're going to place 2 single crochets in the next stitch, 2 single crochets in the next stitch, 2 in the next, and all the way around. Coming up on the last stitch before the one that's marked with our stitch marker, so I've got 2 more single crochets. If we count all the way back to the first stitch, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 stitches for the round. Then we can pull out our little marker here to start the next round. For the next 4 rounds, you're just going to do 1 single crochet all the way around into the next stitch here. I'm going to place a single crochet, and then I'm going to put my stitch marker back in to that stitch. Just like that. And then I'm just going to do 1 single crochet in each of the 16 stitches I have until I reach the stitch marker again. There's number 1. So we do it again. Pull out the stitch marker, place the next stitch, put our stitch marker back in, and continue with the second round. We're going to do that till we had 4 rounds completed. Alright, once you have finished all 4 of those rounds, remove your stitch marker, and then we're going to flip it inside out, or right side out, and then I'm going to slip stitch into the next stitch. Now we're going to do a row of double crochets. So we're going to start by chaining 2 and placing a double crochet in that same stitch. And then we're going to put 1 double crochet in each stitch all the way around until you reach the beginning. And remember, double crochet is yarn over, insert your hook, pull up a loop, pull through 2, pull through 2. COVID! When you get back to the beginning, you're going to slip stitch through the first double crochet. And you should have something that looks like this. Now we're going to go ahead and create the string part here. So I'm going to chain up 14. And then what I'm going to do is cut my yarn and pull that through. And then I'm going to just give it a tug and tighten that. Then from there, I'm going to count over 5 and join my yarn there. Do a simple knot. And then from that stitch, insert your hook and chain 14 again. And then cut your yarn, pull through, and then one more time you're going to count over 5, maybe 6. I'm going to do 6, counting over 6, and join my yarn there. And same thing, chain 14 and cut your yarn. The inner strings, I'm not going to bother hiding. We're actually going to just hide them in the stuffing later. So I'm just going to start tucking those strings in. Tuck, tuck, tuck. So you should have a little pot with all the ends in the middle. And then these 3 pieces here. And we will save those for the end. That'll just make life a little bit easier. So there is our pot. The brown part starts off exactly like the bottom of the pot. So we're going to make our magic ring again. And then we're going to put 8 single crochets in the middle of that ring. Pull your ring tight, and then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to increase in each of those 8 stitches. So I'm just going to increase 8 times, and so that I don't have to worry about a stitch marker. So increasing 8 times in the next 8 stitches. So there was 1 increase in the next stitch. That makes 2 increases. And the last increase, there we go. And you should have a little circle. And then you can just join with a slip stitch to the next stitch. And then chain 1 and leave a long tail for sewing. And there is your dirt. Alright, last thing we need to crochet are the little bobble tendril plant thingies. And there are five on this one instead of 7 on this one. So there's going to be 3 that have 4 bobbles. 1, 2, 3. And then 2 more. One that has 2 bobbles and one that has 3 bobbles. I got my green. To start this out, we're going to make a slip stitch. And we're going to chain 2. In the first stitch, you're going to place 3 double crochets in that first stitch. One, 2, 3. Then you're going to remove your hook, and you need to find the first double crochet that you made and put your hook through those loops at the top. And then you're going to grab the working loop again and pull it through. And that kind of crunches it into the ball. Then you're going to chain 4, chain 5, and in the second stitch from your hook, you're going to do that again. 3 double crochets, after the third one, pull your hook out, stick it into the top loops of your first double crochet, grab your loop again, and pull it through. And there's your second bobble. We're going to do that 2 more times. So chain 5 in the second loop from the hook, 3 double crochets, remove the hook, slip stitch, so that was my 4th one. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make the second one, but it's going to stay connected to the first one, so we don't have to hide any more ends. So we're going to chain 11, and then in the second stitch from your hook, you're going to make another bobble. And then from here, chain 5, make another bobble until you have 4 more on the opposite side here. After you've finished your 4th bobble, chain 1 and cut your yarn. So there's 2, and what we're going to do is we're actually going to join our yarn in the center here. Should be about 5 stitches in the middle, and you're just going to tie your yarn on. But when you tie your yarn on, leave a longer tail, because we're going to use this tail to sew the plant onto the dirt. So leave a pretty long tail there, and you should have joined it in the middle of your two bauble things here. Then you're going to chain 5, and in this second stitch from the hook, you're going to start making your baubles one more time. And you're going to make 4 baubles so that it mirrors these other 2. And then once you have 4, chain 1 and cut your yarn. So now we have our little tendril here, and we just need to make the other 2. And like I said before, this one is going to be a length of 3 and a length of 2. But I mean, you can do whatever lengths you want, really. And you can space out the baubles differently. Once you get the idea, you can really kind of start to play with it. So to make the next one, same thing, start with a slip stitch. Chain 2. And place the first bauble in the first stitch. Then you're going to chain 5. And place the next bauble. Then I'm going to chain 10. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Actually chain 11. And then place the next bauble in the stitch before. Then I'm going to chain 5 again. Place the next bauble in the previous stitch. Chain 5. And place your last bauble when you're done, chain 1, cut your yarn. Now you should have another little thing with 2 on this side and 3 on this side. If you want to make it completely even, you can always add another one stemming from the center like we did on the last one, but I don't want it to be too busy since it's an earring. But if you're making it into a keychain, you can really add as many as you want. Now we have all of the pieces. We just need to hide the ends and join everything together. So the first thing we're going to want to do, this is pretty much done for now. Smush the ends in the center. So with the brown piece, you should have the tail that you've left and also the back centerpiece. So you're going to want to hide this back centerpiece, and I'll show you how I do that. I'm going to get my needle here, and I'm going to thread it, and then all I'm really going to do is just kind of insert my hook under the stitches and pull it through. And I'm just going to do that a couple times, and probably only twice because this isn't really going to come loose or be used for anything crazy. And then I'll cut my yarn back there, and you should have your little circle with your tail. That piece is now ready. Next thing we need to do is hide the tails that are on the ends of the baubles. On all 5 of them, there's going to be that little tail. So I'll show you how I do it. Same thing, I just kind of shove my hook through. This one I'll do probably 2 or 3 times. Just shoving the needle through the bauble. Then when I'm done, I'm going to cut it. And there you go. And you're going to do that for all 5 baubles. Make sure you do not hide this center string. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the center string and I'm going to thread that onto my needle. And then I'm going to take the other little tendril and lay it down, kind of how I want it to look. And I'm just going to place 1 stitch to connect those two at the center. So you should have something like this, so you're all connected. And then I'm going to take my brown part and I'm going to place the center on the center. And same thing, I'm just going to weave down through the middle, through the brown, to space out my little tendrils the way I want them to look. So I'll just weave it in and out, and I will put little stitches through each of those tendrils to secure it in the area that I want it to be. And then when you're happy with the way they are spaced, you can just flip it over. And same thing, hide the end. And then cut the yarn. So now you should have your plant sewn onto the dirt with your brown tail. For the last step, I'm actually going to take all of my tails and shove them into the pot. And that's almost enough stuffing. And I'm going to finish stuffing it once I've started to sew the rest of the dirt onto this. So you're going to thread your needle, and there should be 16 dirt stitches and 16 stitches here. And so if you place it in there, it should fit pretty well. I'm not going to sew directly on top of these stitches. I'm going to sew on the inside under these 2 stitches. So it doesn't matter too much. As long as you sew it on there, you really won't be able to tell, but I'm going to use the inner stitches instead of the top. So first things first, I'm just going to grab those first 2 inner stitches, pull it through, and then adjust. And then I'm going to go through the 2 stitches on the dirt. And then I'm going to hit the next 2 stitches under here. And then I'll hit the 2 stitches through the dirt. And then little by little, this is kind of annoying because there's a lot of stuff going on and it's really hard to kind of show you, but just keep picking stitches along the pot, brown to white, and then it will eventually start to be sewn together. And then before you get to the end, make sure you stuff it the rest of the way. So I'm almost back to the beginning, so I'm going to stuff it a tad bit more, and then I'm going to finish sewing that up. So And then once you have sewn the whole thing, you're just going to kind of weave this end under the brown a little bit to secure it, and then I'm just going to cut it. And there, we almost have it finished. The last thing we need to do is grab the tail from the top of the hanging plant part, and we're going to grab all three, and I'm just going to sew through the tops of each so they're all connected as one, and I'm just going to sew through it again, and I'm going to tie a knot. I'm going to tie a knot with the other two, and I'm just securing it. And then I'm going to tie all three of them together in a knot. To try and make a little ball at the top. And then just cut your yarn. And there, with a little bit of adjustment, a little bit of wiggling around here, there you have your miniature hanging plant. And then all you need to do is, if you're attaching a earring, you know, you just hook it on the loop here, or you could attach like a jump ring and attach this to a keychain. Here is the finished product. If you decide to make these plant earrings or even like the bigger plant, tag me on Instagram or TikTok because I would love to see your guys' creations. Leave a like, leave a comment, because it really helps boost the algorithm and get it out to more people. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you for the next one. Peace out.